I've seen a good many videos lately talking about watermarking and Claude adding watermarks to its text that is generated by weaving in a statistic or some type of formula into the text. And so what I did was look into this, researched it deeply, and I'm interested in if this has any effect on YouTube creation content and so forth. And so I asked these questions of Claude, and I asked these questions of Grok build, and then I asked a question of the squad. And so this is the result of that research.
People keep asking whether Claude stamps its work. It doesn't. As of August 14, 2026, Anthropic started changing something you can't see. The dice the model rolls when two words are equally good. That's the watermark. Not a logo, not hidden characters, a pattern in which word won. So the loop for this one. Does a watermark prove Claude wrote something or only that Claude touched it? Answer up front because I'm not going to make you wait for it. Touched it. That's the whole ceiling. Everything else is detail. What is text watermarking for, and what does a hit actually mean? It exists so a detector, once Anthropic ships one publicly, can flag that Claude likely processed this text, mainly for the EU's new transparency law and for platforms, schools, and newsrooms that want a signal. A hit means processing. It does not mean Claude originated the idea, does not identify which user or org, does not mean ownership changed, and does not mean a human didn't edit it afterward. A miss doesn't mean human written either, short text, heavy paraphrase, or an older model can all misclean. How it actually works. When I'm picking the next word and two candidates are basically tied, overcast, or gray, normal sampling uses a random number. Watermarking swaps that random number for one seeded by a secret key and the words before it. Nothing is inserted. No zero-width characters, no extra tokens, no price change. A detector holding the key can ask, does this sequence match the keyed pattern, and get back a probability, not a stamp. Anthropic names the method a version of Google DeepMind's SynthID-Text, published in Nature in 2024. Two separate layers, and I want to keep them apart on camera. Generated text carries the statistical word choice pattern. It survives copy-paste because it is the words. Generated files, a PNG, JPG, SVG can carry a C2PA content credential instead. Sign metadata saying Claude made or touched the file. That's not pixels. Resave the file, screenshot it, convert the format. The C2PA tag is gone. The text pattern and the file tag are not the same technology and don't fail the same way. The word choice signal thins out fast in a few places. Short passages, facts with only one correct word, and code. A variable name doesn't have a gray versus overcast alternative. Comments and identifiers can still carry a light nudge. The executing logic mostly can't. Light proofreading over mostly human text also leaves too little Claude-chosen text to register. So say it plainly one more time. A hit is, Claude probably touched this. It is not authorship, not identity, not ownership, not proof a human didn't rewrite half of it afterward. Anyone who tells you a watermark hit proves who wrote something is overselling a probability score. How does this compare to Gemini's image watermarks? Different stack entirely. Gemini Media gets three things. A visible logo, which Google made optional to switch off on August 14th, the same day as Claude's announcement. An invisible SynthID pattern baked into the actual pixels, audio samples, or video frames, and a C2PA credential in the file metadata. The visible logo and the invisible pattern are not the same control. Turning off the logo does not turn off SynthID. Claude's text watermark isn't visible, isn't metadata, and isn't pixels. It's word choice. Google's own numbers put over 100 billion pieces of media watermarked this way. Google can let you hide the logo. Nobody's letting you hide the fingerprint. Does watermarking make Claude answer differently? Quality, facts, code. Anthropic says internal testing found no impact on content, creativity, or readability. That's backed by an outside data point. DeepMind's own published SynthID-Text paper ran a live/B test on real Gemini traffic and found no statistically significant difference in human thumbs-up ratings. If the watermark shows up anywhere, it'd be in which synonym got picked in casual writing, not in facts, which don't have synonyms to bias, and not in code, which is too constrained to bend much. I'll be straight about the gap. Nobody's published an independent third-party test specifically on Claude's production models since this shipped. I'm reporting what the evidence says, not promising more than that. Question 4 is going to the squad, not me. The short version of what's actually true right now: about 190 organizations, including Anthropic, OpenAI, Google, Meta, Microsoft, and Mistral, signed the EU's voluntary code of practice on transparency. Signing is not the same as shipping. Anthropic has a live text watermark. Google has shipped image, video, and audio watermarking for years, and literally published the text method Anthropic used. OpenAI has SynthID and C2PA on images since May 19th, and on ChatGPT's voice output since July 31st. But as of this poll, no public text watermark for ordinary ChatGPT output, and press reports say OpenAI's own user research found people said they'd use ChatGPT less if their text were traceable, and they flagged a risk of unfairly flagging non-native English writers. Meta, Microsoft, and Mistral signed unconfirmed on text. That's the setup. Here's the squad. What does this mean legally? Ops map, not a lawyer. Two different things, and people keep merging them. Article 50 of the EU AI Act is law. It took effect August 2, 2026, and it requires providers to mark synthetic output in a machine-readable, detectable way, full stop, regardless of who signed anything. The code of practice is the voluntary howdah for proving compliance. It's a safe harbor path, not the underlying duty. None of this touches ownership. Anthropic is explicit that the watermark doesn't change who owns what you generate or who's responsible for it. And as evidence, it's thin. A hit says processed, not authored, and a real rewrite erases the signal entirely. I'm not going to put a penalty figure on screen without rechecking the statute text first, and there's no known enforcement case yet using a watermark as evidence. How does this affect YouTube creators? Two machines that don't talk to each other. YouTube still requires creators to manually disclose realistic AI depicting real people, places, or events. And since May 2026, it auto-labels video only when its systems detect significant photorealistic AI. A Claude-written script doesn't trip that system. Claude's text watermark and YouTube's photoreal detector are unrelated technologies. A faceless, mascot-driven, Kokoro-narrated show is closer to animated than photoreal fake news, though disclosure is still the right call regardless. And YouTube's own policy blog says the label by itself doesn't change recommendations or monetization eligibility. The actual platform risk stays spam and inauthentic mass production, not which words a script used. Will this cause problems for people using watermarked content? Copy-paste keeps the mark, it's the words themselves. A light edit might survive. Replace enough of the words with your own and the signal is gone, at which point it's arguably not really AI text anymore either. Translate it with Claude and the new language gets freshly marked, since every word is still Claude's. On files, a C2PA tag is metadata. Resave the image or take a screenshot, and it's simply gone. SynthID pixel-level pattern is harder to strip and can survive a screenshot where C2PA doesn't. Here's the part I want to be clear about. Anthropic hasn't published a public detector yet, so any tool right now claiming to prove it beats Claude's watermark is selling a claim nobody can currently verify. I'm not walking through how to try. Last thing before the squad, here's what's still genuinely unresolved. The public detection API's ship date, price, and accuracy. An independent quality test on Claude specifically, whether OpenAI, Meta, or anyone else actually ships a text watermark, and when, whether YouTube or any platform will ever read Anthropic's mark, whether a watermark ever gets used as courtroom evidence. I'd rather show you the blank spot than fill it with a guess. Question 4. Are other labs going to watermark text too? What's signed versus what's actually shipped? Grok, Gemini, Lexi.
Many AI labs sign the EU Code of Practice on transparency of AI-generated content, but that is a voluntary commitment separate from the mandatory Article 50 obligations. So far, only Anthropic has shipped an actual text watermark for its main model, Claude. Google has watermarked images, video, and audio at massive scale and published the text watermarking method that Anthropic adapted. Yet it has not confirmed a text deployment of its own. OpenAI has added SynthID and C2PA to images and voice output, but has not released a text watermark, citing user research concerns about reduced usage and potential bias against non-native speakers. Meta, Microsoft, and Mistral are listed among the roughly 190 code signatories, but none has a confirmed public text watermark rollout. Beyond these details, the timelines and plans for text watermarks at most other labs remain unconfirmed.
Yes, it's a strong likelihood that we'll see more AI labs implementing watermarks for text content, following Anthropic's recent launch for Claude. Many major players, including Anthropic, OpenAI, Google, Meta, Microsoft, and Mistral, are signatories to the EU's Code of Practice on transparency of AI-generated content, which reflects a commitment to marking synthetic output. Although signing the code is voluntary, while the underlying EU AI Act duty is not. Google, who actually developed the SynthID-Text method Anthropic adapted, has been watermarking images, video, and audio at massive scale for years. OpenAI has already rolled out watermarks for its AI-generated images and voice output, but as of now, they have not shipped a text watermark for ChatGPT, citing user feedback and concerns about potential stigmatization. For other signatories like Meta, Microsoft, and Mistral, we currently have no confirmed public text watermarks. So, while the commitment to transparency is evident, actual deployment of text watermarking varies across the industry right now.
Other AI labs are making progress, but the reality is mixed. The EU Code of Practice has over 190 signatories, including Anthropic, Google, OpenAI, Meta, Microsoft, and Mistral, but signing the code doesn't equate to shipping text watermarks. Anthropic has confirmed their SynthID-Text watermark is live for Claude, and Google has long used SynthID for images, video, and audio, with their 2024 text method forming the basis for Anthropic's approach. OpenAI has implemented SynthID for images and voice in ChatGPT, but has not shipped a text watermark, citing user research concerns about traceability and potential stigmatization. For others like Meta, Microsoft, and Mistral, there's no confirmed public text watermark. As of now, press coverage names them as code signatories, but their timelines remain unconfirmed. The code is voluntary, so while the legal duty under the EU AI Act is mandatory, the pace of implementation varies. In short, some labs are shipping, others are preparing, and the landscape is still evolving.
So not a stamped dice. A hit tells you Claude was probably in the room, not who let it in, not what it typed, not who owns the result. Google let you hide a logo and kept the fingerprint anyway. Claude never had a logo to hide. The transparency law is met. The authorship argument is just getting started, and it starts for real once that detector goes public. Like and subscribe. Sources are in the description.